Hello to all my friends out in Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District. It's your Congressman Jamie Raskin coming at you today, Friday, November 10th. And this is my favorite time of the week, Local Hero, when we get to salute the people who are enriching and serving our community. And today's Local Hero is my friend Mike Heimel, who is presently the medical director of the Washington, D.C. VA Medical Center, the Veterans Medical Center. He himself is a veteran of the U.S. Army, having served more than 30 years in the Medical Service Corps before retiring in June of 2016. And as the director of the medical center, he leads the largest VA medical center in the country. It serves not just D.C., but 5 counties in Maryland, including Montgomery and Prince George's, and also some counties in Virginia. He's got 3,000 employees serving under him. Over 100,000 veterans are enrolled for medical care of different types. And there's a budget out there of $600 million. He's responsible for the Community Resource and Referral Center, as well as 5 community-based outpatient clinics that are located throughout the Maryland, D.C., Virginia area. He's been in a bunch of very important positions, including he was director at the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Bethesda. He was the first non-physician and non-general or admiral ever to serve as the director of Walter Reed. And he's got a ton of awards, including the Defense Superior Service Medal, the Legion of Merit, the Meritorious Service Medal, and the Joint Commendation Medal. He's very important to me and my office because he took leadership of the flagship VA Medical Center in DC during a very difficult, tumultuous time. The prior director had been fired twice. There were 5 acting directors. You might remember this. And then they brought stability and leadership and vision with Mike Heimel and as the ranking member of the Oversight Committee. Closely involved in that whole time period. Since he's taken over, there's been a dramatic increase in filling vacant positions there. Staff morale has increased tremendously. And most importantly, the veterans are much happier. The very first thing he did was to create like a town hall meeting with veterans to hear from them about their concerns and their interests. And he has proceeded to respond in a very effective way. For all of that, we wish you a happy Veterans Day, Mike, and we salute you upon being our local hero.
Well, thank you very much, Congressman. And I am humbled by the recognition and really happy to be able to spend a few minutes chatting with you today.
Yeah, so when you think about the state of veterans on Veterans Day, how would you characterize things generally?
I think across the nation and certainly here in the market that the Washington, D.C. VA Medical Center serves, things are really looking up. VA trust scores from veterans that come to us are at the all-time high levels. We're now just a little over a year into implementing the PACT Act. And that expansion of benefits for veterans of all generations who've had toxic exposures. Really for the first time, when Vietnam veterans came home in 1972, 73, we told them they had to prove that their condition was related to Agent Orange and other toxins that they were exposed to. And over the years, we nibbled around the edges of that. But Congress and the administration got it right with the PACT Act, because now with 25 or 26 different presumptive conditions, veterans don't have to prove it. All they had to do was be there and have that condition, and we're going to make sure they get the benefits they deserve. But most importantly, we're going to make sure they get the health care that they need.
Well, I'm so glad that you raised the PACT Act because, as you were saying, we placed an impossible burden on veterans, which is if they got sick from Agent Orange or other toxic exposures, they had to prove the connection. And how do you prove that? And we shifted the presumption in Congress. I was very proud that we did that, to say that if they come down with a toxic exposure related disease, a cancer, a leukemia, whatever it might be, the presumption is that it was from service, and we get them the medical attention that they need, and that's the least we can do. So I'm glad to hear that that's very much in your mind, and that you are out talking about it and letting veterans know about what's available to them. What would you say is the situation with respect to veterans and homelessness and housing at this point?
Thanks. In fact, just this past Saturday, we had our Winter Haven homeless stand down, where we bring homeless veterans in with the help of veteran service organizations from around the state of Maryland and Northern Virginia and the district. We bring them to the medical center. We have medical exams available. We've been able to do toxic exposure screenings. And we had over 200 volunteers here providing boots and shoes and winter clothing and jackets, giving haircuts to not just homeless veterans, but veterans who are at risk of being homeless again. They may be in one of our transitional housing partners across the community, or they may have just gotten into stable housing with vouchers from Housing and Urban Development to help them afford stable housing, but are fragile and at risk. And so we had over 280 veterans that we were able to care for that day. Wow. To give you an idea of homelessness in our market, we track about 280 to 290 veterans by name across the community that we know are homeless, and getting them into shelters. We've had a tremendous success over the last 10 years. That number used to be well over 1,000, and it's come down significantly. This past year, we had wonderful success. I think we put over 250 veterans off the streets and in the stable housing. And we had 3 or 4 of those veterans that regressed back to homelessness again, and we got them back into stable housing, and they're still there. So our team works incredibly hard. We still have a long way to go. One too many. 280 is certainly way too many, and we've got to be able to reach those veterans and deal with not just the homelessness issues, but many of them have mental health and substance abuse issues that we've got to be able to get them in treatment that will help them maintain stable housing and stable employment.
Yeah. Mike, you live in Gaithersburg. I am proudly your congressman. I know that our county and our state have both made a real commitment to serving veterans. And when I was a state senator, we had lots of legislation trying to deal with that. And I know that Montgomery County has declared it a policy goal to abolish homelessness in general, but first among veterans. I believe that that's something that the county's been able to do. Now, of course, it's a constant challenge, and it comes in waves according to different things, including COVID-19. I wonder to what extent your work as the medical director at the DCVA Medical Center brings you into contact with local governments and state governments, as well as all of the stuff that you do with the feds.
Yeah, I think in each of the jurisdictions, first and foremost, our relationships with the veterans commissions in those districts. And so in Montgomery County, I have a very broad and good relationship with the Veterans Commission in Montgomery County. I've spoken to them on a number of occasions. We feed information back and forth to each other on things that we're doing so that they can get it out at the local level in their counties. And, so that works exceptionally well in Montgomery County. The Tri-County Council in Southern Maryland does a tremendous job of advocating for veterans in Southern Maryland. And there's a couple of groups out in Loudoun County, Virginia, that are also really helping us get to some of the more rural areas of our market and figure out innovative ways to serve veterans. I also want to say that both Secretary Owens before and now Secretary Tony Wood the Secretary of Veterans Affairs for Maryland have been huge supporters of what we're doing. And actually, Governor Moore and Secretary Wood is championing a program, Food as a Prescription, for at-risk individuals and folks who may struggle to be able to put healthy food on the table. And Secretary Wood and his team and I are going to have a conversation about that next week, and how we can maybe look at rolling that project out in Montgomery County, Prince George's County, and the Tri-County areas in Southern Maryland.
Yeah, and I know that as a veteran himself, Governor Moore is very devoted to that agenda of outreach and fighting hunger and homelessness in the veteran population, and seeing that everybody gets the help that they need. All right, well, if there's anything else you'd like to say to the veterans out there by way of education of what's available to them and what they need to know about, please use this opportunity to do it.
Yeah, to all of veterans in the 8th District and really across our market, the role that I have here is really just an extension of what I've spent 35 years of my life doing, caring for active duty service members, retirees, and their families. And so many of those folks that I've had the privilege to work with and care for over the year are now patients here at this medical center, and we get to continue to do that. I'm incredibly proud of the staff that we have here. I'll be the first to admit we don't always get things right, but our staff is trying hard every single day to meet the needs of the veterans in our community and do it with a level of service and dignity and respect that you all deserve for the sacrifices you've made for our nation. And it shouldn't be lost that just this week we've had an election, and our right to have free and fair elections and determine our own leadership and destiny is paid for by the blood of our veterans, both living and those who have passed. And now we're going into Veterans Day to be able to again say thank you to all of you for those sacrifices that you've made for our freedoms. And so I'm privileged to be one of you, and I'm even more privileged to be able to care for you and your families.
That's Mike Heimel, our local hero and the medical director of the DCVA Medical Center, where our veterans from Montgomery County, Prince George's County, and a bunch of other places go. I want to wish everybody happy Veterans Day. I want to thank you for your great service and your sacrifice to the country. And again, thank you, Mike, for everything that you do for veterans and for good health care in our family, for them and their families. All right. Happy Veterans Day, everybody, and we'll see you next time.